Nawawalan na nga ba ng interes ang ating mga kababayan dyan sa impeachment na si Vice President Sara Duterte? Pag-usapan ho natin yan. At ang pinaka-latest sa video na si Atty. Trixie, sasalansanin din ho natin yan. Pero bago ho yan, isang like at isang subscribe. Masaya na ho tayo dyan at sa mga gusto sumali sa ating community, yung join button nandyan lang ho sa baba. Ayun na nga, marami din ho tayong narinig na kung saan sinasabi ho ng ating mga kababayan kung hindi ho yung expectation ng mga taga-prosecution na pagka pinatagal itong impeachment na to, bababa ang approval at trust rating ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Kumbaga masisiraan nila. Pero iba hong nangyayari. No? Imbis na bumaba ang approval net satisfaction rating ni VP Sara, lalo pang tumataas. At habang tumatagal ang impeachment, lalong nawawalan ng interes ang ating mga kababayan dito sa impeachment na ginagawa na to dyan sa Senado. Pakinggan ho natin ito mga kababayan.
Itong impeachment kasi, alam mo, ang problema rito, nababawasan na rin ang interes yung taong bayan, di ba? Base dun sa pag-aaral na nabasa ko sa isang pahayagan, di ba, lumalabas isa na lamang sa kada 10 Pilipino ang talagang tumututok dito sa impeachment. And it's actually true. Inobserve ko, no, nung kasagsagan ng Quadcom, naalala niyo mga 2 years ago, di ba? Pag nag-live streaming sila, nakakakita ko sa isang platform, nakakakuha sila ng 1 million views. Pero itong impeachment ngayon, particularly itong linggo, ang nakita kong pinakataas pa, 163,000 views eh. So sabihin mo na lamang merong 8 milyong Pilipino ang nakatutok dito at hindi pa tayo sigurado kung tinatapos nila. You have to understand, we have as almost 70 million registered voters, 69 million no itong nagdaang 2025. At ang bilang niyan ay dadagdag pa. So ibig sabihin, maging sa usapin ng impeachment parang nawawalan na ng gala ang taong bayan.
Nako, yan ang problema dito. Kasi paano ba naman ho kasi magkakagana ang ating mga kababayan dyan sa impeachment na yan? Mantakin nyo naman ho, ilalatag nyo dyan matibag. Ilalatag nyo dyan lotok. Sino pa yung kalilong, di ba? Yung may kaso yung mga yun eh. Okay lang sana kung kilala yung mga individual na yun, merong integridad na ahente ng NBI. Meron ho lahat problema eh. Sino ang sasalansan? Mag-opening statement si De Lima? Di ba? Oral argument si Joke. No? Kilala hong mga anti-Duterte yan eh. Wala man lamang sa private sector yung mga nakapaligid sa kanilang pribadong abogado. Kilala din ng mga ano yan eh. Aso ni Martin Romualdez. Kagaya na lamang hunong si, ano pangalan nun? Attorney Ligutan, di ba? Kachokarot pala ni Jude Asidre yun. Isipin nyo na lang paano ba namang hindi mawawala ng ganang ating mga kababayan dyan sa kalokohan na yan na pinagagagawa dyan sa impeachment ni VP Sara.
At malaki ang impact niyan with respect to how the President is seen and also with respect to how the Vice President would actually be perceived. Kaya kita mo kahit anong kabi-kabi lang hearing ang gawin patungkol dito sa impeachment, patuloy na mataas pa rin ang rating ng Vice President. Precisely because hindi naman nila pinapansin yung nangyayari sa impeachment. At maraming kadahilanan, ano? Unang-una sa lahat sa tingin ko, nag-overkill din kasi yung mababang kapulungan. Naalala mo nung time ni ERAP at saka time ni Corona. Ang ginawa lang ng Kongreso, ng mababang kapulungan noon, bumoto sila, finoward nila yung articles of impeachment, tapos nagkaroon ng hearing. At for the very first time, interesado tayo mapakinggan lahat. Ngayon ang nangyari, lahat ng napapakinggan mo sa impeachment, nabugbog na ng gusto doon pa lang sa Quadcom, hanggang dito sa Justice Committee ng House, nang naggawa sila ng tinatawag na mini trial.
Yun. Diba? Yung hindi pa binubuksan ni De Lima ang bunganga niya, hindi pa binabanggit ni Luistro ang gusto niya sabihin. Alam na ho natin kung ano lalabas sa bibig nila. Kasi nga, yung paninira kay VP Sara, nag-umpisa pa yan sa House of Representatives. Hindi ho dyan siya hindi yung fishing expedition, kumbaga continuation lang yan ng mga kabalbalahan dyan sa Quadcom, Injustice Committee, mini trial ni Luistro. Kaya ang ating mga kababayan umay na. Eto mga kababayan, ang malupit ho dito, kesyo anticipated daw ho ng ombudsman. Lipat na ho tayo dito kay Boying Remulla. Meron talagang mangyayari na mukhang trinabaho na magkaroon ng grant of bail. Pero pagka nag-press con tong si Bonjing, sinasabi niya kaagad, kasi ganito diba? Gano'n yan kasi ganito yan. Kami dito sa ombudsman kasi gusto namin pagka nag-build up kami ng case, airtight yan. Tapos gaganyan-ganyan, titingin-tingin pa siya magkabilang ano niya para magmukhang kapani-paniwala. Titingnan niya. Lahat ng nakaharap sa kanya, gaganyan. Kasi ganito yan. Tayo dito sa ombudsman, hindi naman natin pwedeng gawin na yung magpa-file tayo ng case. Tapos, madidismiss lang. Dapat kasi ano yan, airtight yan, no? Airtight yan. Yung kay Joel Villanueva, balik tayo, preliminary investigation yan. Pero yung mga evidence, talagang inaano namin, nagsisiguro kami ng mga evidence para talagang airtight. Diba? Taong bayan ng dito, naagrabyado. Gaganyan-ganyan si Boy Rumulyo, di ba? Nakuha ko na nga, kaya ako di ko na pinapanood eh. Puro kabalbal lang daw sasabihin niya eh. Pagkabarat niya, nakapagsalita siya. Kasi dapat yan, hindi nating madaliin. Kasi mahirap na baka ma-dismiss lang. Makalaya lang yung mga na yan, di ba? Dapat dito sa ombudsman, ang namin dito, ang aming dapat talagang yung mataas yung ika nga na talagang mananagot itong mga to. Dahil naman yung sambayan ng Pilipino nagarabyado dito eh. Di ba? Kay Lauren Legarda Plunder. Kay Guardiola Malversation. Bonjing na bon. Yan ang problema ho natin mga kababayan na ito. Nagpaiwatig si Ombudsman Crispy Remulla na tila trinabaho. Nagkamayan na nga, di ba? Yung asawa nitong si Panday at nito si Marcos Jr. doon sa zona. Alam, nagbulungan na sila doon. Kung sabi mo, amo mo, napag-iiwanan ka. Kabitenyo pa naman yan. Magti-2028. Yari. Mga kalaban nyo sa Cavite, talagang natrabaho. Ngayon, nakalaya yung isa. Yari kayo dyan. Pagpayag ng Sandigang Bayan na makapagpiyansa si dating Senator Bong Revilla. Kaugnay ng kinakaharap nitong kaso umano'y Ghost Flood Control Project sa Pandi, Bulacan. Isa lamang itong yugto na mas malawak na digmaan kontra korupsyon. Ewan ko sa inyo, bahala kayo sa buhay, di ba? Airtight. Yung certainty of conviction, ganun pa yan eh. Gaganon pa yan, haharapin yung mga. Titignan niya lahat ng ganun. Dito tayo kaya ito.
It's not for the interests of
Yo!
kasi dito, so magandang
Shout out kay Tony Drix.
Magandang gabi dyan sa Pilipinas.
Ganun yun eh. Talagang papakulong natin yan. Boying na boying,
Si Cruz Angeles, itong
Pambira.
Domingos. Bago
Isang salita talagang titignan niya magkabila eh. Gaganon-ganon siya. Iikot-ikot niya yung mukha niya para magmukha katiwa-tiwala.
po tayo magpatuloy, huwag pong kakalimutan like, share, follow, and subscribe. At binabati ko po lahat ng tao na tuloy-tuloy ang suporta sa aming channel. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. You make all of this possible. So, today, it's a weekend and kagabi, tinitingnan ko yung mga kaso na hinaharap ng ilang mga senators natin. Hindi lingat sa ating kaalaman na karamihan ng mga kaso na ito ay hindi fina-file dahil sa interes ng hustisya, no? It's not for the interests of justice or motivated by something other than that. Ang nakikita po natin dito ay yung timing ng mga pagfa-file ng kaso, yung weaponization of the law, yung tila ginagamit ito as pressure points for decisions that the Constitution validly placed in the hands of people other than the executive. In other words, while the executive is a very, very powerful branch of the Philippine government, it's not the only one. And sometimes wisdom dictates that decisions cannot be left to only one body. Ang ibig sabihin din nito is tatlo ang sangay ng ating gobyerno for a reason, to check each other. Pero kagabi, dahil tinitignan ko nga yung mga kaso, na-realize ko that the checking mechanism has failed us. Not because of how it is inherently built. Tingin ko, okay naman. What has failed us is that it relies too much on the strong character of people who occupy positions of power. We continue to experiment with our system of government. But in the end, what fails us isn't the system, it's the people. So, tingnan po ninyo, sino-sino ang mga senador na may kaso? Nakakulong, Senator Jinggoy, Senator Dante Marcoleta. Humaharap sa kaso, Senator Bato, na questionable pa nga ang kanyang so-called warrant. Okay? Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, meron daw issue yung Taguig. Senator Loren Legarda. And wag nating kakalimutan, meron pa rin si Senator Chis Escudero, Senator...
So lakas ng loob nila na gawin to, no? Hindi pong walang mangyayaring paggalaw sa mga men in uniform. Siguro talagang yung haka-haka na itong mga karamihan sa mga men in uniform, especially yung mga high ranking, bayad na talaga.
Joel Villanueva. But wait, there's more, di ba? Meron pa. Humaharap sa ethics case si Senator Pia Cayetano. So, ilan yan? Kung isama nyo yung possible, yung naririnig natin ng mga threats na meron din daw na ICC si Senator Bongo, siyam na yun. Siyam na senador. That's 35.7%, tama ba? Of the Senate. Ay, 37.5, sorry. Of the Senate are facing cases. That can't be a coincidence. It cannot. Not only that, kausap ko ilan mga vloggers. And lo and behold, ang dami naming may kaso. And the cases are unusual, ha? Yung mga nangyayari lang in times of civil unrest. Inciting to sedition, cyber libel. We are being targeted for political opinions. Yun ngang malungkot na pagpanaw ng isang vlogger na hindi identified sa panig ng mga Duterte, naging political din. Puti na lang, mabilis na naglabas ng solusyon. Saka...
Mantayin mo isang vlogger sasabihin, INC? Tapos Duterte kagad? Kagad INC. Tapos meron pa siya pananakot na sinabi na kesyo, yung ito mag-ingat kayo, susunod na kayo. INC tapos Duterte daw nang nagpatumba doon sa taklesang babae na yun, di ba? Bihira.
Aso ang PNP. So, and yes, it is time for me to recognize na hindi na nga nagiging responsive ang Korte Suprema. Hindi ito pag-criticize sa mga tao doon, ngunit kailangan na rin natin tanungin. Kung sinasabing justice delayed is justice denied, hindi na rasonable yung pag-uupo sa ilang mga kaso that could show the people that justice continues to grind out fairness. Even during these times na uncertain tayo. Dapat ang pinakasinasandalan natin ang certainty, ang kasiguruhan na ang katarungan aabot at aabot sa atin. So, bakit ngayon ko sinasabi ito? Aside from the fact na you cannot ignore 9 senators facing cases, ill-timed cases, whether na file na siya or whether humaharap pa lang, you cannot ignore it. Not anymore. Not only that, while we can say that the court has a huge docket, that the court has is put in a difficult position of having to make decisions that may upset the status quo. Those decisions must be made. We understand the silence of the court, particularly considering that they have the heavy burden of being the final say in this. They cannot abrogate their position. They cannot say, mamaya na yan, hindi na po pwede, hindi na kasi reasonable. And that is the standard by which we stand on. We understand a delay of even 6 months, considering how many cases go to the Supreme Court. But the other thing is, the people are also aware, or so many of our people are aware of what is going on. We have political awareness. We understand the weaponization of the law. We understand that the people in power are using this to stay in power. And because the cases have been filed, because these issues, these controversies have already been brought to the doorstep of the highest court in the land in the hopes that justice will be done, a further delay in all of these cases does not serve that. They are abrogating their obligation for swift and timely justice. Why are we speaking up about this now? When the legislature is manipulated, whether it is done, the manipulation is done by money or by threats, the balance of power between the three branches is upset. So the people look to the Supreme Court to provide that balance. It is not a coincidence that Lady Justice holds up balanced scales. In staying silent, the Supreme Court contributes to the upset of that balance and assists the executive in maintaining, not only maintaining power.
Grabe matindi huya ang mga statement na yan ito ni Trixie Cruz Angeles. Pakishare ho itong video na to, pambihira, abogada ho yan. Di ba? Yan yung pinakahiga nga pagdating sa batas, pagdating sa higa nga sa Korte Suprema, napakaano ho ng abogada na yan, yung tipong lahat ng leeway at doon sa tama, pero pagka nagsalita niya pag nagsalita na ba ng ganito si Atty. Trixie Cruz Angeles, kailangan na ba nating mabahala kasi nakakaano na ho kaya nga, di ba, iba na to mantakin niyo ho mga kababayan, lahat na lang gustong ikulong ng administrasyon na to, maging itong si Senator Loren Legarda at ang kanyang anak. Mauuna pa ata silang makukulong kaysa dito kay Martin Romualdez. Kailangan na ba nating kalampakin ang Korte Suprema dito sa mga pag-weaponize ng administrasyon, Diyan sa Ombudsman, DOJ, para talaga patahimikin yung kanilang mga kalaban sa politika. Di ba?
But gaining more of it. So wala na yung balance.
Wala na.
With what? More than 35% of the Senate facing charges, with the House of Representatives appearing to be manipulated by money. What's going on? Is this the time for the Supreme Court to remain silent? Hindi nakikialam ang Supreme Court, bawal yun. But the cases have already been filed before it. The cases for habeas corpus of the taking of Rodrigo Duterte have been before the courts for more than a year. Beyond the period where we can expect the people's patience to stay. Namamayagpag ang pasensya ng Pilipino. yung larangan ng poder ng Korte Suprema ay sa hustisya. Pero kung mabagal masyado yung hustisya na yon, o kung tumatahimik ang Korte Suprema despite the fact na nandyan na yung mga kaso, hindi ba't oras na rin na sabihin that this is no longer reasonable? Kung gusto nila ng tunay na hustisya, siguro kailangan na nilang gawin ang kanilang obligasyon.
Naku po.
Oo. Sabi nga ng isa dito, naubos na yung pasensya ko. Kasi hindi na po rasonable. Lumampas na eh.
Kaya nga no.
Okay.
Tataka nga ako hindi naman ganito si Atty. Trixie Cruz Agnes. Kumbaga, sa bagay, lahat na lang pala ng mga senator na kalaban nila talagang pinagkakasuhan ng mga adik sa Malacanang.
Pa tayo mag-intay.
Wala na.
Okay pa tayo
Di
na
na.
makita itong mga to. Pero pag harap-harapan na, hindi pa nga tayo yung tayo yung unang-unang namiligro. Hindi nila naintindihan na pagdating sa mga issue katulad ng flood control, buhay ang nakataya.
Kaya nga.
Kapag dating sa matters like corruption, buhay ang nakataya. Healthcare.
Palakpakan natin si Atty. Trix.
Bilis naman silang umandar pagdating sa healthcare. Pinasoli yung pera na kinuha sa PhilHealth. Pero kayo ba na-satisfied dun sa desisyon? Meron bang nanagot? Parang pahina ng pahina din. Ang appreciation natin ng style ng hustisya. Last year, natuwa ako. Parang napuno ang Korte Suprema. Nag-decide sila. Ang bilis nilang mag-decide pagdating doon sa impeachment case ni VP Inday. Pero ngayon, naihain na ang mga petisyon sa Korte Suprema tungkol sa hustisya ng pagtutuloy nitong theater na ito, political theater na ito. Wala, deadma. Ito'y panawagan. Panawagan na rin na habang tuloy-tuloy naman ang nakikita ko na hindi naman hindi naman tayo nagbibitiw sa ating obligasyon na i-call out ang gobyerno kapag nag-fail ito. After all, obligasyon yan. Kasi tayo yung nagbigay ng pera. Tayo yung bumoto. We have a responsibility to make sure that government performs. After all, it's our kids. It's our safety. Our livelihood depends on the services that are provided by government. The safety of our kids who must be outside or sometimes are not even safe in their own homes. We have to speak up. Yan yung power na nakalagay sa saligang batas. Power natin to call out government para gumalaw sila. But what is happening? The powers granted to us by the Constitution, the balance of power guaranteed to us in the Constitution, hindi na sila nag-work because the executive has become too powerful. And the last time that we saw that taken to this level of extremity was Marcos Sr. Marcos Sr. took to himself all the powers. He had, of course, he was the head of the executive. But he also had the power to create laws. He had the power to make laws through presidential decrees. But did you know that he also took it onto himself to exercise some of the powers of the judiciary? He had the power to issue what was later known as ASO, Arrest, Search, and Seizure Orders. The Constitution says that only the judiciary can issue arrest warrants because they have to examine evidence before it is done. Marcos Sr. had all of those powers. So that's why sometimes in the middle of the night you could be arrested by virtue of an arrest, search, and seizure order, and you never understood why until much later. Hi, Ian. So, again, the question comes down to what do we do? When you see it, all of this happening, the manipulation of the legislature, the judiciary falling silent, while everybody else, all of those who were granted powers by the Supreme Court to do something, to actually do something, they have stopped. And who bears the brunt of this? The weaponization of the law means that innocent people will go to jail. The weaponization of the law means that much of the safety mechanisms of the Constitution, wala na yan. Hindi na aandar yan. The Constitution itself is in peril because always hanging over our heads and maybe quietly happening even as we speak is the possibility of charter change. By itself, it's not a bad thing. Of course, we want to change our laws. The Constitution is not an exception. Gusto natin ng pagbabago, minsan yung batas natin hindi na nag-work or it doesn't work to the extent that we want it to. So we're always testing it. Congress should have oversight committees. The executive should always and constantly be in communication with the legislature. The Supreme Court will make the determination of whether those laws are still in consonance with the Constitution. If the procedures are being followed, is that happening? No, of course not. The system is failing. The Constitution is in peril because there are greedy people who will stop at nothing. The Constitution no longer presents a bar to greedy people who want to remain in power. Sabi ni Ma'am Awi, silence is not fairness. Silence is not justice. Delay is not justice. What do we do? Well, we always have the familiar standbys. We pray. We attend the rallies. We speak up. But do not think for a moment that we have lost power entirely. The entire Constitution is held up by one thing and one thing alone, the will of the people. The laws of this land are held up by the trust that we place in the system. When the system fails, we must try to fix it. When the system fails, fixing it begins with speaking up. I know many of you here have already spoken up and are in fact quite outspoken. Many of you here are quite possibly facing your own trials, facing your own cases for being so outspoken. Join the club. We have to do it better. We have to do it smarter. We have to make sure that we don't stop. Alam nyo, isang nakakaiyak na kwento na narinig ko, galing sa isang kaibigan na nasa Malacanang pa. Ang sabi, sa totoo lang, March 2025, prepared ang Malacanang high security alert. Nung kinuha si Rodrigo Duterte, akala nila daw magpi-people power na. Chika ito sa akin ha. I cannot verify this. I can offer no evidence for it, except the actions of the people that I observed who were still in Malacanang. The biggest test that we faced was when they took Rodrigo Duterte, March 11, 2025. The biggest test of our patriotism was then. Whether he was president or not, former president or not, Rodrigo Duterte, as a Filipino citizen, had rights. The Philippine government had the obligation to bring him to a local court. Nobody in government holding any real power was able to stop it. Even worse, we failed him. Yes, Ma'am Irma, we did. We failed to protect that one single Filipino citizen brought before the ICC in The Hague. And because the people who wanted him out succeeded, because they succeeded, they keep pushing us even more. Yun yung teste. Kinuha nila si Duterte. They did not bring him to the court. They did not respect his rights. The Supreme Court fell silent, and to some extent, so did many of us. Maybe out of shock, maybe out of disbelief. But once the truth had sunk in, we did not fight for him hard enough. So they keep pushing us. They keep pushing the envelope. Nagawa nila sa isang dating Pangulo, syempre gagawin nila sa mga senador. Gagawin nila sa mga kongresista. Mayroong mga kongresista, hindi rin naman tayo bulag, na humaharap sa ilang mga kaso. Whether just yung mga kaso na yun o hindi, the timing already reveals a lot. Sabi ni Mui, the people we expected to stand up for us are either cowards or greedy. It's so sad. Excuse me. Why do you expect people to stand up for you? We've come to the point where there is nobody who will stand up for us because everybody is equally scared. We stand up for ourselves. That's our job. Because if we don't fight, then whatever bad thing is coming, we're going to deserve that. Nalulungkot ako kasi nga nakikita ko na, kumbaga, walang hiyaan na. So, sabi ni simpleng taga-Bukid, we the people of Mindanao are again betrayed. It's hard maintaining a drop of nationalism anymore for us. We're done with the republic. Why? That's exactly what they want you to do. A divided people are easy to rule. Even Rodrigo Duterte took back his statement about the secession of Mindanao. So I don't know where that's coming from. And you know why I'm saying this with all my respect for you? Because this is the time to stand together. And feeding their greed isn't going to help, di ba? If you start picking on other Filipinos who have no fault in this whatsoever, how is that going to help any locality? How is that going to help the country? It's time to end that divisiveness, because that divisiveness is a weapon that they also use against us. We, the people of Mindanao. I'm also a child of Mindanao. I was not born there, but I lived there. Enough days to claim it my home. I've invested in it. Enough to claim it my home. No, it isn't a few days. And yes, I walk the talk. I do, I have. But you see, it's like this eh. If any one of us suffers an indignity or injustice, we stand up for that. Regardless of where that person is standing, whether he's standing in Luzon, in Batanes, or in Jolo, in Davao, or in NCR, we fight for that. Because an injustice done to one of us is an injustice done to all of us. There's a lot to be proud of when talking about Mindanao. And we will fight for you. Those of us who live elsewhere, we will fight for you just as much as we fight for the little plots of land that we own elsewhere. We voted a man from Mindanao to be our president. We loved him, and we continue to love him. But when we're talking about justice here, we fight for the injustice against him as much as we fight for the injustices against us. It is, after all, a country. It is, after all, a state. And there would be no state if there was no us. Rodrigo Duterte was president of the entire Philippines and he loved every square inch of it. He loves it to this day. Pwede pa tayong bumawi. Pero ito yung sinasabi ko, the reality is this. Government institutions, in the face of injustice, are falling silent. Those in the executive are active participants in the shameless greed manifested by the executive. No. Sa tingin mo kapag lumabas na si VP sa kalye, maglalabasan ng mga tao para matigil na itong gobyernong ito? She has already taken her stand. She's not calling for the ouster of the president. She will never do that. Why? Because she's a lawyer. She knows that that's illegal. She also is quite aware that as the vice president, she's the immediate beneficiary of that. So she doesn't want to do that. That's our job. Our job is to make it very clear, to call out government, to call out the administration, to call out the greedy officials, to call out the injustice that's being done to us. That's our job. Do not abrogate our job. Sabi ni Kerly, if we lose hope, paano natin mababawi ang bansa natin sa mga magnanakaw na politiko? That's correct. So while we are facing all of these difficult situations, or a difficult situation, while we see it, that's why we call it out eh. Kaya natin binabanggit, kaya natin pinapansin, because you drag it out of the darkness. Kailangan makita yan. Remember when we called out people, we called out and called for people to go to Veterans Hospital, to go to the House of Representatives. We bear witness to the injustice so that somebody will speak up, so that history will be written with this in mind. para hindi na kinokontrol ang boses natin. And this is the point that I'm trying to make here. While we see all of this happening, it's going to all happen again. It will all get worse if we don't speak up. The reason they are so harsh is precisely because they know that one day we're going to discover just how strong we are. So remember this. The one thing we cannot afford to lose is hope. The one thing we cannot afford is to let go of each other. Our unity is strength. You know why? Because if you enslave one part of the country, that doesn't make you any less responsible if you don't speak up. And by bearing witness, it means that we will talk about it. It means we will ensure that history will write it. It will be written in our history books. My apologies for the bad grammar. So one, so it doesn't happen again. Two, so that future generations will recognize that sometimes cruelty and injustice comes with a soft voice. We must bring the Vice President to 2028. We must bring Inday Sara to 2028. We must make sure that she survives long enough to face an election. This is what our adversaries are trying to prevent. A silent court, a strong executive, a manipulated legislature. Any person who is an enemy within those ranks want to make sure that we cannot take VP Inday to 2028. And so that's exactly what we must give them. Remember this. Diba? Remember these heartaches. Remind yourself constantly when things get better of what we had to go through. This must be in the books. And part of the reason we're doing this live is to remind you